people have been murdered inside a closed
Surface vicious killer who committed serial for dinner.
Welcome back to Cereal for Dinner, the darkest corner of the podcast universe, where instead of focusing on the crimes committed by serial killers, we focus on the killers themselves. Tonight we get to feast on my favorite serial killer. Yeah, I have a favorite. I remember reading about him in the first book I had about serial killers, which was called The Serial Killer Encyclopedia, which I read cover to cover. I can't even count how many times. Thanks, Mom. Anyway, listeners, I hope you're hungry because Edmund Kemper is on the menu tonight. So pull up your chairs and don't forget to hit the subscribe button below.
Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
Can you say how many people might be doing crimes like you were doing?
It would be a guess, but it's not. It's far more than 35.
Edmund Emil Kemper III was born in 1938 in Santa Cruz, California, which is notoriously nicknamed the murder capital of the world. Home to the Zodiac Killer, the Manson family, Richard Ramirez, and Kiefer Sutherland in the 1987 Lost Boys, just to name a few. Towering at an insane 6 feet 9 inches and weighing over 300 pounds, Kemper is currently serving 8 consecutive life sentences in a medical facility in California for the murders of 8 women. His acts of necrophilia, dismemberment, and unconfirmed, so possible cannibalism, all committed during an 11-month killing spree, still haunts the University of California's campus and earned him the nickname the Co-Ed Killer. Isn't that crazy? May 1972 to April 73, 8 murders. He actually has 10 murders under his belt, but the first 2 aren't on his record because they were committed when he was a minor. In 1954, when he was only 15 years old, he shot and killed both of his grandparents. With a single shot to the back of the head, Edmund Sr. was the first to go. He then turned on his grandmother Matilda, shooting her once in the back of the head and then twice in the back after she was already dead. So post-mortem. When asked why, he told authorities he wanted to see what it felt like. So fast forward. He's in a juvenile facility for the criminally insane, where he's diagnosed as a sociopath with schizophrenia. This 15-year-old that murdered 2 family members on a whim, and this is one of my favorite things about Mr. Kemper. This man, child actually at the time, who was never supposed to see the light of day as a free person, not only helped psychiatrists to refine evaluations to determine psycho and sociopathic tendencies, which, by the way, we still use today, and this is separate from the ones he helped the FBI create to understand serial killers. He also conned his way out of this detention center. His medical charts literally state that he was cured, and he was released when he was 21. So after 6 years, this medical staff performed a miracle, essentially. Bye, Ed. Thanks for the murders. Enjoy your freedom. Before I wrote this podcast, I, of course, did more research, and unfortunately listened to multiple podcasts which got so much wrong. No one really touches base on how intelligent this man is. This man is a genius. He's had multiple IQ tests throughout his life, ranging from literal simpleton to above 145. And to put that in perspective, Albert Einstein and Da Vinci, who are both considered savants, had estimated IQs of 200 to 300. So that puts Kemper in the genius department. It's a pretty commonly known fact that serial killers are usually pretty intelligent. When I listen to interviews with Ted Bundy, I'm not thinking, oh, this man is so smart. I'm thinking, this man is crazy. Same with Dahmer. Actually, no, with Dahmer, all I can think is something's really wrong. Manson, clearly insane.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
Kemper, every word is calculated, his tone is even, it's mellow, every interview is just matter of fact. The way he talks about what he did to each of the victims, I mean, you would think he was talking about a trip to the grocery store.
Dismembered her body, got rid of her body, but kept her head in her hands because they're identifiable. They're highly identifiable. I kept those at the apartment. That Friday night, Thursday night, I took her. Friday morning, she was dismembered. Friday night, she was disposed of.
Every time I see an interview, the only thing that's on my mind is not only how much he's enjoying it, describing these brutal acts on other human beings so casually, but also his self-awareness. I think that's why the FBI found him so essential to understanding serial killers. For those who have seen the Netflix original Mindhunters, Edmund Kemper, portrayed by David Fincher, who did an outstanding job, by the way. I actually had to Google it to make sure it wasn't the actual Edmund Kemper. You see him working with the FBI. It's kind of made out that he, helped them discover serial killers, which doesn't even make sense. I mean, Albert Fish was executed for the murders he committed in the 1930s, and Jack the Ripper, that was 1800s, R.I.P. Mary Kelly. But Kemper was and is essential, and has been my favorite serial killer for a really long time, just because of how smart he is. And I know that's weird to say, but it's a fact.